Number of artifacts in the British Museum collection. This is a crazy post to be reviewing because I literally just went to the British Museum, and I have to admit, it was probably the best museum I've ever been to.
What are we doing today, Drew?
We're going to the British Museum.
The British Museum. How much do we pay for this, Drew?
$0.
That's crazy. This is probably the most Egyptian things I've ever seen.
Yeah, oh, easily. Yeah.
Like, even in America, we don't have stuff like this.
I'm pretty sure this is from a bunch of memes. Yeah, Frank, what do you think about seeing your people? What do you think about seeing your people stuff?
I don't know if I like that they only got one little corner. Alright guys, if you want this exclusive footage, you gotta go to my channel.
So 3 countries that are least represented in this museum are Israel, the United States, and Japan. And I can definitely confirm that there wasn't a whole lot of stuff from these places. Then we have Iran, India, and China. Now, I would think they would have a little bit more from India. One thing I was noticing while at the museum is the places the British had previously colonized, they tend to have more artifacts from those countries. And I would say the reasons are kind of obvious. So I'm actually a little surprised that India is so low on the list. I actually thought there'd be a lot more. Then we have Germany, Turkey, France, and Egypt. And finally, the top 2 countries, Italy and then Iraq. There was a lot of things from Iraq. I had probably never seen anything that old in my entire life. In the US, you'd be lucky to walk by like a 200-year-old building. This graph is interesting because it's showing the modern day country, even if the artifact itself came from, let's say, for example, Iraq, it was actually the Assyrians, or for Italy, a lot of Roman stuff. Another thing to keep in mind is that artifacts are more than just like paintings. They could be tools, pottery, metal objects, weapons, jewelry, or even death masks. What is that? Oh, the likeness of a person's face, I see. Oh yeah, we did see some dead bodies. It sounds so funny, just out of context. This is called the Walled World, which includes Oceania, South Korea, Japan, a lot of North America, not all, and then Europe. So within this world contains 73% of the world's income, yet only 14% of the world population. Meanwhile, outside of this wall contains 27% of the world's income, yet 86% of the world's population. The yellow dots are also the top 50 cities with the highest living standard. Obviously, they are scattered throughout this walled region. Although South Korea doesn't have one, but Japan, Australia, New Zealand, the only yellow dot I can see outside of the wall is actually Singapore. Oh, actually, parts of Morocco and Israel have also made the list. Then we have different descriptions of the barriers. One specific spot showing the divide between South Korea and North Korea. And we have the US-Mexico border, the West Bank barrier, and then others in this part of the world. It is crazy that this walled world makes almost 3/4 of the world's income, but the vast majority of the world's population here is definitely coming from India and China. I mean, that's like 3 billion people right there. Those 2 places alone create 36% of the total world population. 87% come from the continent of Asia. And the only 2 Asian countries here are South Korea and Japan. How much does it cost to host the World Cup? And one is not going to be like the others. Now, these costs includes the money spent on building of stadiums and other infrastructure. So starting all the way back in 1994 when the USA hosted, they spent about $500 million. And 4 years later in France, $2.3 billion. We have 2002, which was a joint between South Korea and Japan, $7 billion. Germany actually went down from that, only 4.3. Maybe they already had an infrastructure and stadium in place. South Africa then went even less in 2010, only 3.6 billion. Fascinated by that. It was 15 billion for Brazil in 2014, 11 billion for Russia in 2018. Finally, we have the upcoming Qatar World Cup for 2022. It is, well, 220 billion. Completely destroys all these other ones combined. So all the new stadiums is one thing that Qatar is building. Each costs somewhere between 6.5 billion and 10 billion, but a lot of the spending was just due to infrastructure costs. They did, however, have to build 7 new stadiums. But there's so many other things that go into it, like making better hotels, metros, airports, a bunch of things you wouldn't consider. Interesting strategy here for him, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him. The United Nations vote to end U.S. embargo against Cuba. There were only 2 countries that voted to not end the U.S. embargo over Cuba. That is Israel and, well, yeah. Then there were only 2 places that did not vote. That was Ukraine and then Moldova for some reason. Wait, what kind of dirt do we have over Moldova now? I didn't hear about this. Literally every other place on Earth was like, yeah, we should probably end the embargo. Cuba has technically been under US embargo for 60 years. I just want to know exactly what New Zealand voted for. They didn't vote in favor or against, but apparently they did vote because they're not yellow. Someone just asked New Zealand, do you think we should stop the US embargo over Cuba? And New Zealand just responded with Harambe. That was so stupid. I don't know. I don't know how else to. Hey, shut up, Frank. Shut your ass up. Thank you, Frank. The most common names for newborn boys and girls per London borough. I thought at first it said most communist names. What borough am I in right now? It'd be nice if they had the river here to see. I'm currently staying in, I think, either Westminster or Camden. I'll be right on the border. But already from all the red names, I can see Sophia is a very popular girl's name. We also have a return to Noah and Leo. I've always liked Leo. I don't know why I'm thinking about my favorite baby names. I need to first start by getting a girlfriend. I don't know if I'll ever be able to name my daughter Mia. I can't explain any further. There's a Muhammad out here on this edge, and then a few Muhammads out this way. It's gotta be crazy in certain parts of the world. Muhammad is the most common name, I think, still in 2022. What's it like to be like in a kindergarten class and have like 10 Muhammads? This map actually reveals a whole lot. Only 2 boroughs which haven't had any changes since 2010, Olivia and Oliver. Those are just way too similar. And then here as well. Everything else has had a change in name popularity. I would actually kind of consider that, you know, names kind of rise and fall. I would think that all of the boroughs would have different names by now. Oh, it's only a change from 2020. So it's only been 2 years. Wow, that is already a lot of changes. A hunger map of Europe made by the US in 1918. So this was just as World War I was winding down. In Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and this part of Russia and Finland, they were dealing with extreme hunger. It's part of Romania and the southern part of Russia, very close to that black. Very serious food shortages in Italy, Bulgaria, and Turkey. Portugal, Spain, France, and England were doing okay. And then the lowlands or Benelux region, Netherlands, and Belgium were already receiving American aid at this time. I didn't even consider food shortages during the Great War. We also have Germany and Austria-Hungary who were unclassified. I'm assuming since they were surrounded by other nations that were struggling, they were probably struggling pretty bad too. Interesting that those 2 nations were part of the Central Powers, yet we do have the information on Turkey. America's food pledge, 20 million tons. Easy to forget just how devastating World War I was because it kind of gets overshadowed by World War II. World War I was crazy though. There is a lake in Finland that looks exactly like Finland, including with the little islands down here and all. Did they plan this? Do you think they just made this? This is like an artificial lake. They knew the rest of this thing looks so similar to the shape of Finland, like, you know, let's just put a pool right here. This lake comes from this part of the country, which I will not pronounce. Your chances of having a lake that looks exactly like the country it's in definitely helps when you have over 188,000 lakes. Finland is actually a water-rich country in terms of water per person. There is so much fresh water, it actually makes up 10% of the total land area. That's why the nickname is Land of 1,000 Lakes. Sweden, I remember, also has a lot of lakes. Not quite as much, though. Finland is pretty much double this. Considering both Canada and Russia are the 2 countries with the most lakes, but they are also the 2 countries with the most land area by far, it is crazy to think that Finland is 3rd. Little old Finland. Finland is only the 66th biggest nation by land area in the world. So yeah, maybe a better question is, why is there only 1 lake that looks identical to the nation of Finland? They have so many, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a couple that looks somewhat similar. Oh wow, I am so depressed. I just found out this was actually a man-made lake. My disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined. I was gonna say, this little thing on the side just kind of gave it away. The Vatican City, or the world's smallest country, versus the Burj Khalifa, or the tallest building in the world. So if you were to lay this massive skyscraper on its side and put it at the bottom of the Vatican City, it would at one point be longer than the entire country itself. It also probably works horizontally too. There are certain areas that it's longer as well. For my Americans out there, this building is just over half a mile tall. That is crazy. So obviously this means the Vatican City at some point is just 0.6 miles long and 0.4 miles wide. So there you go. Now I just feel like the Vatican City should build their own Burj Khalifa. Imagine building a building that's taller than your entire country. Someone get the Pope on this. Percentage of population which lives in the capital city. So only 3% of France's population lives in Paris, 4% in Berlin, Germany, and 5% in Rome, Italy. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I couldn't remember the capital off the top of my head. I like how 100% of people live in the capital in Monaco, San Marino, and of course the Vatican. I guess your only city kind of has to be your capital city. I guess that's not the case for Andorra though. Neither for Liechtenstein. Wait a second. Liechtenstein 14%. Lowest on this list might actually be Switzerland at only 2%. Only 2% of people live in Geneva? Oh, that's my problem. I didn't get the city right. It's Bern. Yeah, I know not that many people live in Bern. I'm going to Switzerland next week, so I just figured this out. Bern is actually way low on the list. Zurich, Geneva, and then these 3, they might even get passed up. This really comes down to population density in a way. Some of the biggest countries with most of their people living in capital cities is Iceland, then Latvia and Estonia, almost a third of their population all coming from their capital. Those places all have one pretty big thing in common. They are small in land area, yet really cold. Kind of have to gather together. Armenia, very high at 36%. Also, if you have a lot of mountains or random islands, I guess, Greece, 30%. Wonder if this is a good thing or a bad thing to have most of your population in one city. Probably has its pluses and minuses. Like that you included a little part of Kazakhstan. Here we go, 5%. Malta, of all places, is actually the lowest. What is going on in Malta? I almost didn't even look at Malta because I assumed they'd have the same numbers as all these other smaller city-states. How is Malta at 1%? It's a tiny island. I don't even know the capital of Malta. Its population as of 2014 was 6,000 people. What? Why? Oh, it might be up to 5,000 as of 2016. They're getting up there. The island as a whole has over 500,000 people living on it. I might need to really investigate Malta because I am extremely confused about what's going on over here. And big thanks to my patrons. aPhatNarwhal. Presented by Robert My wife hates this Sebi, part. If you hear this, I love you, Drew's Argentinian grandpa. $20 is a lot. Wild Bring back Polandball. DannyThyGamer. GoodOldRyah. LuxembourgLover. Phresh Animations. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. The Mexicans. And ZaneyBoi.